Hello, it's So, and today I wanted to talk about what's been working for me in 2023 that I want to carry with me into 2024. Because rather than focusing on New Year's resolutions, I just thought it would be nice to focus on what's been consistently working for me and what I've been working on in 2023 that I want to carry on. Because I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions because I feel like you don't need a new year to turn over a new leaf. You can just start at any point in time, not just the start. So yeah, I just thought it would be nice to focus on what I've been working on, what's been working for me, things like that. I don't really have a specific theme or organization to this list. It's just a series of things that have been working for me and that I've been really enjoying this year, and maybe you'll like them too. First things first is replying to people as fast as I possibly can. Like, I've always been really bad at replying to people and texting people. Like, I'm not even joking, this is one of like my most debilitating character flaws. And there's a couple of key reasons as to why I don't reply very well that I was able to identify through like internal work and therapy. First, what will typically happen is that I'll see and read the notification, right? And I'll tell myself, oh, I'm gonna reply later as soon as I'm done with this thing, and then I never actually remember to reply. That's usually accompanied by the sense that I'm really busy and that I need to focus on whatever it is that I need to be doing right now, so I just don't end up replying and I forget. Second is I have this weird thing where I worry that I'll seem desperate if I reply back immediately. Like, I don't want to, step on their toes. Like, I don't want to seem like desperate or clingy or anything like that. And I definitely think that this was shaped by like my personal experiences growing up. I was always considered the weird kid or the nerdy kid, and I had trouble making friends when I was younger. So I think that shaped sort of an anxiety about how I'm perceived by other people. Third is that my usage of social media has been deeply impacted by TBH studying. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had through TBH studying and through everyone I've been able to meet and talk with on social media. But the thing is, I now view social media primarily as a platform for content creation rather than true connection with other people. And then fourth is, if I get a scary email or a scary text, I will avoid it at all costs so that I don't have to deal with it. You know that whole fight versus flight thing? Yeah, I definitely fall within the flight category. Like I said before, therapy was a really key reason in terms of me being able to identify these reasons and being able to tackle the core root of the problem. So for the first reason, I realized that I would do this like read and forget to reply sort of thing because I was afraid that I wasn't doing enough, that I wasn't being productive enough, that I would be too distracting by replying. I know it sounds silly, but I would just worry that I wasn't being a good worker or a good student if I just replied right away. So nowadays I just put do not disturb on my phone if I'm doing something important, and then once I'm done I turn it back on. And that's been really helpful, both in terms of allowing me to reply back to people and delineating, when is on time for my phone and when is off. For the second reason, I've just gotten to a much more comfortable state with who I am. I don't really care if I seem too desperate or if I'm like too clingy, if I'm replying back too soon. I know who I am, and I know that I can't be palatable to everyone. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And so now I just try to be an authentic version of myself rather than constantly curating versions of myself for different people. Don't get me wrong, I still struggle with this. There's a Taylor Swift lyric that goes along the lines of like, oh, like I'm a pathological people pleaser, and that's still something I'm trying to work through. But at least when it comes to texting, I've gotten a lot better with being a lot more self-assured. Finally, for the third reason, I haven't really found a good solution yet. I still struggle with posting on my personal Instagram, and I still struggle using apps like Snapchat and things like that. So now I just ask people to text me through iMessage or, like on my phone number, things like that, because that's the one platform that isn't tied to social media, and so I feel a lot more comfortable communicating on that platform rather than through something like Instagram. And as for the fourth reason, I'm still trying to work on my conflict resolution skills rather than just avoiding my problems. So, if I make progress on that, I will let you know. Now, when I receive something from a coworker or a friend, I just reply right away. And another thing that I've been doing is setting aside time in the evening to really go through my phone and get rid of all the red numbers that pop up. and just clear all my notifications out, and you know, making sure that my notification center is completely clear. So now it's empty and I don't have to worry about anything. The second thing goes along with my replying thing, but now I just schedule everything as soon as I possibly can. I have trouble remembering things, so now if something happens, I put it on my calendar. I make sure to set up notifications for it so that I get a reminder on my phone, and you know, I'm just trying to set up success for myself in the future. For example, I'm really bad at remembering birthdays. Like, even for my family members, I'm really bad at remembering them. Now I set up birthday reminders on my calendar, and I set it so that it recurs yearly. And if they're a close friend or a family member, I even set a reminder in advance so that I remember to go out and buy a gift for them, send them a card, things like that. Sleepy time drinks. I know it sounds so silly, but basically I saw a TikTok that said tart cherry juice is a natural source of melatonin, and at that point, I think it was in February, my insomnia had gotten so bad that I was willing to try out anything. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't think it actually works. I think it's just a placebo effect, but something that I really liked is to just, you know, make a little sleepy time mocktail by mixing my tart cherry juice with some sparkling water, and then making my little drink and then sipping on it as I go through the rest of my nighttime routine. Even if it doesn't help me sleep at night, it's still a nice way for me to slow down my thoughts, because you know, I tend to get racing thoughts at night, and it signals the start of a nighttime routine where I get to focus on unwinding and relaxing rather than neurotically ruminating on what happened in my day. Another thing that's been really working well for me is my freezer. So typically I can't finish all my food and all my ingredients before they go bad in my fridge. So one thing that I've been really liking to do is when I meal prep on the weekends, I'll separate half of the portions and just freeze them, and so that I can eat them later. And then if there's a really big sale going on at the grocery store, for example, like meat, like ground beef or like chicken thighs or things like that, I'll just buy the family pack and then portion them out in individual servings and put them in my freezer so I can eat them for later. This has been great because not only does it help me minimize food waste, it also helps me save money, because you know, food waste is basically wasting money. And also when it comes to sales, that means I can get cheaper portions based on the price per serving. Is that how it works? Price per serving? Yes, I think that's right. Also, it's just been really convenient to just pull out one of the frozen meals from my freezer and microwave it after I come home from work, rather than pulling out the pots and pans and like cooking up a whole new meal. Another thing I've loved doing in 2023 is calling my mom after work. Like, in Korean it's called 퇴근. So after I 퇴근, I just call my mom on the bus and I just yap away about my day. I've always been close with my parents ever since I was young, but during the pandemic we hit a little bit of a rough patch, especially because I was struggling a lot with my mental illness. I was struggling a lot with my chronic health issues, and my parents just didn't really understand what was going on. You know, they don't know a lot about mental illness and they don't know a lot about chronic health conditions, and so we would often butt heads over what I wanted to do versus what they wanted to do for me, what they thought was best versus what I thought was best. And so since the pandemic, you know, our relationship has frayed a little bit, but I definitely think this past year we've put in a lot of work towards repairing our relationship and just being a lot more honest about what's going on in our lives and things like that. I do largely attribute like this repair in our relationship to both of us trying to authentically show up for each other as much as we can during these calls, you know, so that way it's not up to just one of us to shoulder the burden of trying to fix the whole relationship. It's definitely felt more like a two-way street. So now I'm a lot closer with my mom. Sometimes my dad has time to call me, but you know, typically because I'm 3 hours ahead, since I'm in the East Coast and my parents live on the West Coast, it's typically my mom that picks up the phone. Now, this is kind of weird because it's less of a habit and more of an item, but basically legal pad. I use these to take any patient notes or write down any to-do lists on the go when I'm at the hospital. So I work in clinical research, and I guess like 60-70% of my job is patient facing, where I'll do like patient research visits, take their vitals, you know, talk to them about their medical history and the medications that they're taking, things like that. So, you know, it's been really useful to have a legal pad on hand so I can just scribble everything down really quick, and then I can rip it off the pad and shred it so that I can preserve like PHI and things like that. And also sometimes like patients will show up unscheduled and things will go wrong from time to time at the hospital. So the legal pads have just been a really nice nice, quick and easy way for me to like write down everything on the go. And it's been a lot better than Post-it notes because legal pads have a lot more space. And unlike Post-it notes, like legal pads stay together a lot better. I still use my bullet journal, but I'll use my bullet journal to set up my tasks and sort of see what my day is, like the structure of my day is going to look like at the start. But you know, if things arise in the middle of it and I've already written it down in my bullet journal, then I can just write it down on the legal pad on the go. And then another thing, I never write down patient information in my bullet journal since I share this with the internet. So again, legal pads have been a surprising savior in the workforce. Who knew? Another thing I want to keep doing, not going to Starbucks. If you know, you know, but also like it's just expensive to buy coffee from there every day. Even if the boycott wasn't going on, I would still probably like stop going there because first off, expensive. I don't have that kind of money. And then second, I finally come to terms with the fact that I just like cheap coffee. You know, like I just like sweet, milky coffee, and I cannot taste the difference between cheap coffee and expensive coffee. I can't really distinguish a difference between like different blends, whether it's like single origin or like a house blend, or if it was done like as a drip coffee, like the pour over style, or if it was just like in a regular coffee pot, or if it's like French press or like mocha pot. I just really can't tell the difference. I just like my coffee to be sweet, I like it to be milky, and I like it to be iced. So now I just buy cheap coffee from Aldi at home, and you know, I vibe. My wallet has been a lot happier, I've been a lot happier. Yeah, win-win all around. And then another thing that's been working really well for me is this phrase, add, not subtract. So this is a phrase that I heard a licensed dietitian talking about in one of her videos. I can't remember like her channel or like her username, but I'll put it up on the screen. But basically, she's a licensed dietitian and she makes a lot of like realistic like tips to make your meals healthier. And so like her whole shtick is that it's far better to add things to your meals to make them like more wholesome, rounded meals rather than to subtract things from a meal or to restrict certain foods. So I think the example that I recall off the top of my head was like frozen Eggo waffles, because she was saying like, oh, you know, like frozen foods are like cheap, they're easy to grab and go, but instead of like just eating the plain like Eggo waffle and like with maple syrup, you could add like yogurt to it. You could add berries, you could add chia seeds or flax seeds or things like that. So that way it becomes a more filling, more nutritious, like healthier meal. And that's just been really transformative because, you know, I've always struggled with food. I've always struggled with body image. It's been really helpful to reframe my mindset about food and approach a place where I can be more neutral with my food and my body. She also makes videos for people with ADHD. And although I haven't been formally diagnosed with ADHD, I still find these tips in these videos to be very helpful for me. And I find them to be very realistic and very applicable to my day-to-day life. This last one is silly little walks. So recently, I've noticed that like I've been feeling really sluggish at work. I feel really like, you know, trapped inside my cubicle or trapped inside my small clinic room that I get for research visits. And so what I've been doing is during my lunch breaks, I'll get up and like take a walk around the hospital or take a walk around like the city. And for those 30 minutes, I can really rest and recharge. And it's been so good for my mental health. Like you have no idea. Like, I know it makes a lot of sense rationally, you know, like fresh air, like sunshine, things like that. And it's like extra bad because my office is in the literal basement, like it's in the ground floor of the hospital. That's what they call it, but it's basically the basement. And so it's like kind of dark in there, kind of smells a little funky. We've definitely had some issues with like cockroaches and things like that. And so being able to just get outside for 30 minutes, so good for my mental health. And I feel like it's probably good for my physical health as well because, you know, it's not good to be sedentary all the time, but I haven't really noticed any like physical benefits as much as I have mental benefits. But I'm sure my muscles are thanking me, but yeah, silly little walks. I've also been doing them on the weekends where I'll just go out and walk around the city for an hour and a half. Like, I don't even go anywhere. I just walk around and I listen to a podcast and things like that. And it's been really great because now I feel like I know my neighborhood better. I know the layout of the city better. I know the area around my hospital better. And I've discovered like little cafes and little stores and like food trucks and things like that that I otherwise never would have noticed. So that's basically everything that I really enjoyed, things that have been really working for me in 2023 that I want to continue in 24. I guess if I were to have a New Year's resolution, actually, no, not even a resolution. I would rather reframe it as like a New Year's aspiration. What I aspire to do in 2024 is probably just be like a happier, like healthier person, both in terms of like mind, body, spirit, all of that. I don't really have any specific steps to achieve that goal yet. I don't think I will. I think I'll just take it easy this year because I feel like I've been kind of overworking myself this past year. But yeah, 2024 looks pretty bright. Super excited for the year ahead. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know if you had anything this past year that's been working really well for you, any habits, any routines, anything like that that you want to continue doing. Let me know. Maybe I'll give it a go as well. But yeah, thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful new year. It might be too late to say happy holidays, but happy holidays. Bye.